That is, Manamana Bhavam Bhakto Madhyaji Mamnuskuru, Mamesh Satyam Te Pratijani Priyus. Next.
Because of his possessing spiritual assets, the doubts of duality were completely cut off. Thus, he was free from the three modes of material nature and placed in transcendence. There is no longer any chance of his becoming entangled in birth and death, for he was free from material form.
So Arjuna became like a Jivan Mukta. He just lost any attachment from this material world. His attachment was there for Krishna.
Upon hearing of the Lord Krishna returning to his abode, and upon understanding the end of his Yadu dynasty, earthly manifestations, Maharaj Yudhishthir decided to go back home, back to Godhead.
So here nobody else has to calm them, speak them very cutting, sharp words, but they voluntarily left. Because they are not able to tolerate the separation of Krishna. Next.
Kunti, after overhearing Arjun telling of the end of Yadu dynasty and disappearance of Lord Krishna, engaged in the devotional service of the transcendental personality of Godhead with full attention, and thus gained release from the course of material existence.
So their mother also, when she heard all this, she also decided to leave.
The supreme unborn Lord Sri Krishna caused the member of Yadu dynasty to relinquish their bodies, and thus he relieved the burden of the world. This action was like picking out a throne with a throne. The both are same to the controller.
Read the purport.
So Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur suggests that the rishis like Sonakuri and other who are hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from Sutta Goswami at Namesaranya were not happy to hear about the Yadu dying in the meanness of intoxications. To give them relief from this mental agony, Sutta Goswami assured them that the Lord caused the member of Yadu dynasty to relinquish their bodies, by which they had to take away burden of the world. The Lord and his eternal associates appear on the earth to help the administrative demigods in eradicating the burden of the world. He therefore called for some of the confidential demigods to appear in the Yadu family and serve him in his great mission. After the mission was fulfilled, the demigods, by the will of Lord, relinquished their corporeal bodies by fighting amongst themselves in the meanness of the intoxications. The demigods are accustomed to drinking the sonorous beverage, and therefore the drinking of wine and intoxication are not unknown to them. Sometimes they are put into trouble for indulging in intoxications. Once the sons of Kaurava fell in the wrath of Narada for being intoxicated, but afterwards they regained their original form by the grace of the Lord Sri Krishna. We shall find this story in the 10th canto. For the Supreme Lord, both asuras and demigods are equal, but the demigods are obedient to the Lord, whereas the asuras are not. Therefore, the example of picking out a throne by another throne is quite befitting. One throne which causes pinpricks on the legs of Lord is certainly distributing to the Lord. Disturbed in the Lord. And the other throne which takes out the disturbing elements certainly gives service to the Lord. So, although every living being is a part and parcel of Lord, still one who is a pinprick to the Lord is called an Asura. And one who is voluntarily servitor of Lord is called Devata or demigods. In the metal world, the Devata and Asura are always contending, and the Devatas are always saved from the hands of the Asuras by the Lord. Both of them are under the control of Lord. The world is full of two kinds of living beings, and the Lord's mission is always protect the Devatas and destroy the Asuras whenever there is such a need in this world, and to do good to both of them.
So Lord Vishnu Thakur, Chakravarti Thakur is comparing Yadus killing each other is like removing a thorn which is stuck up in our body by another thorn. So the thorn is compared to body. The bodies were punishment for the demigods, and now they have finished that body and they are going back to their abode. So not punishment, but they got the bodies on the order of Krishna. Now the purpose is fulfilled. So how to get out? So for that they have to die. So that process of finishing the body, the battle was organized. So they were helping each other to get released from their bodies. You know. Burden of
तो जी मेरा भी यही सेम क्वेश्चन है कि जो बर्डन जब कहते हैं सिंफुल एक्टिविटीज होती है उनको बर्डन कहते हैं
yeah,
ये
here
दूसरा ये दूसरा
Vishnu
बर्डन नहीं है
Thakur writes, I'll show the purport that you can read actually. He answered this question. कौन सा वर्ष नंबर है? फिफ्टीन ना? पढ़ो.
Regarding both burdens equally, the Lord separated himself from that portion of the Yadus by which he removed the burden of the earth, like removing a thorn with another thorn. Here, the esoteric conclusion is presented to pacify Saunaka and the sages who are in grief on hearing about the final condition of the Yadus. By that body consisting of the Yadus in the form of the Devatas, he removed the burden of the earth, Bhuva, which arises from the Lord, like removing a thorn with the tip of another thorn, and then gave up that body. It is like saying Devadatta gave up his cloth. He let that body fall away from his presence. The verse does not say he gave up that body of the Yadavas by which he performs eternal pastimes. The meaning is this: the Devatas, at the time of appearing with the Lord in their Amsa form, entered into the eternal form belonging to the Yadavas, separating from those eternal forms by the power of yoga. When they went to Pravasa, they were made to attain Swarga with the form of Devatas. After drinking the liquor by the Lord who showed to the world that they had given up bodies by power of Maya. This is according to the explanation in the 11th canto. The Yadavas, who are eternal associates of the Lord, disappeared from the sight of the world but remained in pastime with Krishna in the same Dwarka as before. This is understood from Bhagavatamrita's conclusion. The two burdens, the burden to the earth in the form of the demons and the burden in the form of devatas, who entered the form of the Yadavas, were regarded as the same by the Lord. Isitu samam. However, in the example, though two thorns are equal, the tip of the thorn as instrument is the internal portion under the Lord's influence, acting as assistant to the Lord's pastimes. The other thorn, the object of action, though also acting as an assistant to the Lord's pastime, is the external person under the influence of Maya. Amar Kosa says, Suchi agre Shudra Satro cha lama bharse cha antaka. Antaka means the tip of a needle, as insignificant enemy, hair standing on end.
So answer you got or no?
So basically, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying that two types of burden are there. One is in the form of the Asuras and another is in the Devatas. So Asuras can be understood as burden, but what? How can a Devata be a burden? I mean, there may be some uh, like answers of Devatas present on the earth to perform their duties in the heavenly planets. That could be a reason. But how can they be burden on the world?
Actually, anybody who doesn't remember Krishna, he is a burden only. Whether demigods, they don't remember Krishna out of sanctification, and demon age, they don't remember Krishna. So both are doing same thing. So they are burden. Hmm. So we should not become burden to ashram. You know? Because we're burden to parents, so he came here and become burden to ashram. So anybody who is not serving is a burden. You know. So we should be those are devotees, they are only they only appreciated by Mother Earth. She feels their presence as ornaments. That is not a burden. It's a burden of love, and there is burden of beast. You know. So mother may change diapers, and that diaper she throws in dustbin, but she doesn't throw the baby in the dustbin. Although the baby is producing, stool, urine, so many times, because there is love is there. So love doesn't. The burden of love is totally different. A rich man, he has a suitcase filled with, gold or money. That he will carry, although it may be heavy. He may hire a coolie for other luggage things. But this bag he will not give to coolie. He only will carry it. He never thinks that's burden. So sometimes for us, Krishna becomes burden. His services become burden. Because if love is not there, then everything becomes a burden. And those who love, they will not feel burden. So the lovers of Krishna are not burden to Mother Earth. But those who don't love Krishna, certainly she feels their burden. That's what my intelligence can think of. Okay. We'll stop here. We'll take break now. Huh? We'll meet at 12:45. 45? बस क्या 20 minutes sufficient, no? Or 15 minutes? Dinanath? Your break started early, I think. ठीक है, we'll meet at 12:45. 12:45 because almost we have. So all of you, please read the reports, huh? Don't skip them.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So here the example is given about Nalkuver. So they had opportunity to take birth in the courtyard of Nanda Maharaj. So that was such a great fortune. But after Krishna delivered them, they offered prayers and they went back to their abode. So same way, other demigods also, although they were in the bodies of Yadus, after their time period, they went back to their abodes. Next, text number 35. Read. Read.
The Supreme Lord relinquished the body which he manifested to diminish the burden of the earth. Just like a magician, he relinquishes one body to accept different ones, like the fish incarnation and others.
So Lord comes to reduce the burden of Mother Earth. Next.
When the personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, left this earthly planet in his self-same form, from that very day, Kali, who had already partially appeared, became fully manifest to create inauspicious conditions for those who are endowed with a poor fund of knowledge.
So here they have told that Krishna has left his body in self-same form. He did not keep anybody here. ठीक है ना? So there is nice purport of Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur. So I'll share that with you. Read this purport. Prabhupada purport also you read first, then you will read. You have book? Prabhupada purport you read from book. "36.
The influence of Kali can be enforced only upon those who are not fully developed in God consciousness. One can neutralize the effects of Kali by keeping oneself fully under the supreme care of the personality of Godhead. The age of Kali ensued just after the battle of Kurukshetra, but it could not exert its influence because of the presence of the Lord. The Lord, however, left this earthly planet in his own transcendental body, and as soon as he left, the symptoms of the Kali Yuga, as were envisioned by Maharaj Yudhishthira prior to Arjuna's arrival from Dwarka, began to manifest. And Maharaj Yudhishthira lightly conjectured on the departure of the Lord from the earth. As we have already explained, the Lord left our sight just as when the sun sets, it is out of our sight.
Now read this.
Prabhuji, what is the meaning of that self-same form?
You read this. Then after that you'll.
From where?
This side.
The Lord having shown. This verse clarifies the condition of his giving up his body. When he left with his body, Swatattva means, according to Sridhar Swami, living to Vaikuntha with his body, he gave up the earth by means of his body. It doesn't mean he gave up the earth along with his body. This is a wrong interpretation because of the rule Upapada Vibhakte Karaka Vibhaktir. Baliyatsi instrumental meaning of inflection is stronger than the meaning accompanying. The Lord, having shown his form, the center of attraction for all eyes, then took that form and disappeared from the man who had not performed austerities but had attained the Lord's mercy and were continually craving a vision of his form. In this verse, after showing his form, so Bimba, to the eyes of the world, he again withdrew it and disappeared. The verse doesn't say he gave up a body. The Krishna Sandarbha makes this point. From that moment onward, Tadata Kali entered those with sleeping intelligence. Kali did not affect those who had discrimination. The thief steals wealth from a sleeping person but is afraid to steal from someone awake.
So your question is answered or no?
Yes. I was actually expecting some elaboration about how Lord left this body. Like it was explained in the earlier verses that somebody shoot the Lord and Lord died. And after that, what happened with his body? They threw it in the ocean, burned it, buried it.
Actually, I should have shown the quote that we should not discuss this. Okay, now? Lord's disappearance is not a discussion. So don't worry of his disappearance. Worry about our disappearance. How will disappear? Whether people will.
Some previous verses it is told that Lord left, leaving all other incarnations. So means in that case, it was not about this body.
Yeah. You are answering? What you are asked?
In previous verses, it was told Lord left.
You switch on the mic. Call him name?
Lord left.
So
Left to his abode.
you hit the mic. Speak
Lord-
loudly.
Lord left to his abode,
Okay.
leaving all other incarnations here. Verse में है तो.
Suppose Lord is going from earthly planet to above planet to Golok. So from his bodies, all other incarnations are dropping from different planets. And the original Lord has gone to Golok. And while coming also, various incarnations took shelter of him. So Yadus also, when they came down, so demigods also took shelter of their bodies. And they came down. But when the Yadus were coming back, the respective demigods went to their abodes. So this coming and going of the pure devotees and Lord is very complicated. To understand how they mix, they are at the same time in spiritual world also, they are here also. One set is there, one set is going with along with the Lord everywhere. Because every time, every planet, there is some pastime is taking place of the Lord. So that many sets of devotees should be there. Is the same Nanda Maharaj here and the same Nanda Maharaj in Golok? The Lord says, I don't live Vrindavan, and he is there everywhere. Then who is where actually? So this will perplex the mind of calculative soul, because all our calculations will not work after a certain time. It will just, our head will reel and will collapse on the ground, seeing how many things Krishna is doing. So only Krishna can be understood by Prema and Janacharita Bhakti Vilochani. Santa Sadeva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti. Pantastu Koti Shatasambra Varsha Seven. With the mind of a speed of a mind, one cannot achieve Krishna even one travels for crores of years. So our process is understanding Krishna through his devotees. And for that one requires a Atho Shraddha Tata Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anarthi Nivritti. Then it comes to end as Prem. So by Prem only Krishna can be understood. Because we cannot fit him in our calculations. Sometimes the calculations are so contradictory that we will get puzzled actually. The Lord will set a rule and he will break that rule. Then we will be blown off actually. Our mind will not work. So at that time, we will last long. The one who has firm faith in Krishna and those who understood Krishna through the devotees. Neither we want to take Krishna cheaply by our devotion, self-manifested devotion, or love, which has no basis. So that is all Sahaja kind of devotees. There are a group of devotees in Vrindavan who wear the dress of Gopi. They put lipstick and they all do kajal and all. They wear sari also and they roam around. Yeah. Then they call Chal Chabilo also. They will treat the deity like a small lover and all that. So that is also extreme. And the Mayavadis, they say everything is Brahman. Absolute truth has no form, nothing. He is just light or whatever. So this is one extreme and that is one extreme. So both are working on their platform mind only. But we want to understand Krishna through the eyes of scriptures and the blessings of pure devotees. So how they have understood Krishna, the way they have explained about the Lord, if we read and we hear, it will nullify all our doubts and we can get a right frame of mind to think about Krishna and to serve Krishna. So what was your question?
What that meant actually means.
So now next. Text number 37. Huh? Read. Translation.
The present age is influenced by the specific qualities of Kali. Since the days of Battle of Kurukshetra, about 5,000 years ago, the influence of Kali began manifesting, and from authentic scriptures, it is learned that the age of Kali is still to run on for 4,27,000 years. The symptoms of Kali Yuga are, as mentioned above, namely avarice, falsehood, diplomacy, cheating, nepotism, violence, and all such things are already in vogue. And no one can imagine what is going to happen gradually with further increase of the influence of the Kali till the day of annihilation. We have already come to know that the influence of the Kali is meant for godless so-called civilized men. Those who are under the protection of the Lord have nothing to fear from this horrible age. Maharaj Yudhishthir was a great devotee of the Lord, and there was no necessity of his being afraid of the age of Kali. But he preferred to retire from active household life and prepare himself to go back home, back to Godhead. The Pandavas are eternal companions of the Lord, and therefore they are more interested in the company of Lord than anything else. Besides that, being an ideal king, Maharaj Yudhishthir wanted to retire just to set an example for others. As soon as there is some young fellow to look after the household affairs, one should at once retire from family life to uplift oneself to spiritual realization. One should not rot in the dark well of household life till one is dragged out by the will of Yamaraj. Modern politicians should take lessons from Maharaj Yudhishthir about voluntary retirement from active life and should make room for the younger generation. Also, retired old gentlemen should take lessons from him and leave home for spiritual realization before forcefully dragged away to meet death.
So current people also retire, but they don't know what to do after retirement. So they start doing all unwanted things after retirement. They will go to Kulu Manali, or they will go to Singapore trip, or they will go to Switzerland trip. All these trips they will go. And there are some companies also are there which help assist these old people to take them around the world to see 7 wonders or like that. So people don't know what to do in after retirement. So their retirement is not success actually. But devotees, they know what to do after retirement. And that one should prepare when they are in good health. So Prabhupada is explaining that a good householder will offer all responsibilities to grown-up son. Or if they are holding some positions, they will give it to the younger ones. And then they will be freed to do devotional service. So that is success of retired life. Next. Translation.
Thereafter, in the capital of Hastinapura, he enthroned his grandson, who was trained and equally qualified as the emperor and master of all land bordered by the seas. The total land on the
So they didn't left haphazardly. They took care of the citizens by enthroning Parikshit Maharaj. Read the next translation.
Then he posted Vajra, the son of Aniruddha, grandson of Lord Krishna, at Mathura as the king of Surasena. Afterwards, Maharaj Yudhishthir performed a Prajapatya sacrifice and placed in himself the fire for quitting household life.
So he only not took care of Hastinapur, but he went, extended his support till Mathura also. There he installed Mathura Dwarka. Mathura. There he installed Vajranav as a king. Next king.
Maharaj Yudhishthir at once relinquished all his garments, belt, and ornaments of the royal order and become completely disinterested, unattached to everything.
Next.
Then he amalgamated all the sense organs into the mind, and then mind into life, life into breathing, his total existence into the embodiment of the 5 elements, and his body into death. Then, as pure self, he became free from the material conception of life.
Read the purport.
Maharaj Yudhishthir, like his brother Arjun, became to concentrate and gradually become freed from all material bondage. First, he concentrated all the actions of the senses and amalgamated them into the mind. Or, in other words, he turned his mind towards the transcendental service of the Lord. He prayed that since all material activities are performed by mind in terms of actions and reactions of the material senses, and since he was going back to Godhead, the mind would wind up its material activities and be turned towards the transcendental service of the Lord. There was no longer a need for material activities. Actually, the activities of mind cannot be stopped, for they are the reflection of the eternal soul. But the quality of the activities can be changed from matter to transcendental service of the Lord. The material color of the mind is changed when one washes it from contaminations of life breathing, and thereby frees it from the contamination of repeated births and deaths, and situates it in pure spiritual life. All is manifested by the temporary embodiment of the material body, which is a production of the mind at the time of death. And if the mind is purified by practice of transcendental loving service to the Lord and is constantly engaged in the service of the lotus feet of the Lord, there is no more chance of minds producing another material body after death. It will be freed from absorption in material contamination. The pure soul will be able to return home back to God.
Antakale cha mameva smaran mukta kalev. If at the time of death we remember Krishna, we will be freed from the material contamination and repetitive birth and death. So this moment of remembrance is not a easy thing. Because that time the pain is of 60,000 scorpions biting you. And in that pain, how can we remember Krishna? We were staying in Mayapur voice. Morning we were chanting. And suddenly there, nearby, this is there, transformer. It got busted. We were chanting. And that time, immediately our different sound came out from our mouth. Ah, ooh, ee, like that. There was no Hare. Or many times when we get, stumble, that time what we call it? I Re Bab, like I Baba, something like that we remember. So this is all we have to train ourselves. So when the death comes, it's not very easy thing. Before death only people stop, their body stops functioning. They get paralyzed or go in coma, or there are so many doctors will do so many things on your body that they take away Kantimal also. If you go in hospital, when they admit you in there, they remove everything. Who will put tilak? Who will put Kantimal to? Who will put Ganga Jal in your mouth, Tulsi? There's no guarantee. Now we enjoy actually. Every day we get Charnamrut, every day we get garland of Radharani Krishna. But at the time of death, we don't know which garland it will be there or not. We don't know. So we don't know when is our last moment. So better we prepare for the worst time of our life, which is going to come, by giving our best time to Krishna. A soldier who sweats when there is a peace, he will bleed less at the time of war. So if we perform nice devotion service when our body was having nice strength and everything, then we can have some hope that our final time we can think about Krishna. And that's what Kulshekar Maharaj says in his prayer. Krishna Tvadiya Pada Pankaja Panjarantam Adaiva Me Vishatumanasa Rajahansa Prana prayana samaye kaphavat pitte kantavadrodhana vidho smaranam kutas. So, my dear Lord, the swan of my mind, let him enjoy the lotus garden of yours, holy names. Because I don't know when the death comes, that time my throat will be choked up with mucus bile air. Whether I will be able to chant your name or not, I don't have guarantee. You know. So that time is not very far. You know, it's already we are close. You know, average lifetime of a human being nowadays, it's 70 years, suppose. So we should not think, you know, Vanprasth is at 50. Vanprasth is at what time it will be then? 35. So we are already completed. We think that as if we are going to live 100 years. Our grandfather also didn't live 100 years. You know? My grandmother lived 105, but grandfather didn't live. He lived. So nowadays people are not living very healthy life. Now only we are half dead actually. Having so many root canal is done, artificial teeth is put here, there, some, so many things have been done in our body. So we are almost, our body is slipping away from our hands. So we should be alarmed and don't wait for that final day when we'll become pure devotees. So, an intelligent person will prepare right now, every moment. So here, Pandavas, they left handing over it to their grandchildren. They renounced the material opulences to dedicate their life for Krishna. Next. So here it is explained how he took away the mind, then life breathing, then 5 elements. This all processes there, which appears like that of yogi. है ना वो कौन सा डायग्राम है एक नहीं भागवतम ओनली you might have studied no how yogi gets liberated उसका एक डायग्राम है ना क्रम मुक्ति कौन सा है वो सेकंड कैंटो है आने वाला है क्या वो ठीक है तब तक वेट करो चलो नेक्स्ट
42.
Yes.
Thus, annihilating the gross body of 5 elements into the 3 qualitative modes of material nature, he merged them in one nescience, and then reabsorbed that nescience in the self, Brahman, which is inexhaustible in all circumstances.
So our body itself is a small universe, and there is a big body of universe. So the elements are same in our body and the universal body. The earth is layered with 5 times this, then 10 times that. It goes on and on till subtle layering at the end. So if somebody is whose soul is stuck up in this material form, he also has to get rid of this material form in reverse order. So that process is very difficult. But here, Yudhishthira Maharaj is going through that process. Next.
After that, Maharaj Yudhishthira dressed himself in torn clothing, gave up eating all solid foods, voluntarily became dumb, and let his hair hang loose. All this combined to make him look like an urchin or madman with no occupation. He did not depend on his brothers for anything. And just like a deaf man, he had nothing.
Read purport.
Thus, being freed from all external affairs, he had nothing to do with imperial life or family prestige. For all practical purposes, he posed himself exactly like an inert, mad urchin. and did not speak of material affairs. He had no dependence on his brothers, who had all along been helping him. This stage of complete independence from everything is also called the purified stage of fearlessness.
So sometimes we should live, we should die before die, death. Sometimes we should come out of our body, and see ourselves, that what I am identifying, what people are identifying me, what they are glorifying, and what I am taking seriously. Which thing I am not at all attentive, but they are serious. So we should sometimes become indifferent to our body and become observer, that where I am heading my body, what I am taking seriously, what illusion I am stuck up in. Like that, we should analyze ourselves, that where I am, what I am doing. So that is introspection devotees do, so that they will become serious in performing devotion service. Otherwise, sometimes people say pure devotee, you are pure devotee, you are this devotee. We take it seriously. And some devotees criticize us. They point out some real, genuine fault. We feel they are our enemies. If somebody touches in japa, we become very angry. We think that he doesn't understand what stage I am. I cannot sleep in japa. I am next Haridas Thakur. My chanting is benefiting entire creation. But this fellow is not understood. He is committing a Vaishnava Prad. So like that, we don't take some help given by devotees to us, or some devotees tell us to do something. But when our false ego is pampered, they all are our friends. We like to hear from them again and again. Keep on glorifying. You glorify here in front of me. Wait. You glorify second episode when my friends will be there. So like that, we are mad after our own rulers. So this is not a sign of pure devotee. They feel their glorification is Shukarera Vishta. Vishta, when it is filtered, it becomes Shukarera Vishta. Shukar eats human beings Vishta. This is double filtered Vishta is, glorification for devotees. They feel it's like, not even Vishta, it's Shukarera Vishta. It's most, concentrated Vishta. Like 1 kilo stool is there. I should not become so gross, but still. Then this pig will eat and it will produce some 100 gram. So that 100 gram Vishta is equivalent to 1 kilo human Vishta. So that somebody is praising us should appear like Shukrara Vishta. So this is pure devotee's feeling for self-glorification. So this all things, we have to become little conscious of our existence. Sometimes we become like buffalo, we just lose sensitivity. What is happening with me, where I am going, how my japa is going, how my life is going. We just live for the sake of living. Washing plate twice, washing clothes once a day, and that's all is happening. But are we thinking what I am doing? For what I have come here? Who am I? what devotional service is. So this reminding ourselves again and again will keep us healthy in spiritually, and we will come out of the mechanical behavior. Mechanical means what? Like somebody is in the city of sugarcane factory. What happens to them? They become mechanical with the smell. If you go to sugar factory, then you cannot breathe actually. It's very, it smells very bad, odor comes. Or you go to fish market. You cannot breathe there. But those people who are living there, those who are doing business there, they are bindast, they are not feeling a little bit also some bad odor, because they have become mechanical to the situation. They lost the reality of circumstances. That is a bad place. It's a bad feeling, foul place. They lost it. The sense of that bad odor is lost in their life. So same way, when good soul, when he hears his glorification, he feels some bad odor is coming. They want to close their ears or no, everything. But if somebody is conditioned, he will not feel any harm in self-glorification. So that kind of mechanical life becomes of conditions. So we have to awaken ourselves. We have to come out of these five stages of Annamaya, Pranamaya, Gyanmaya. Those koshas are there. Sometimes we are stuck up in Annamaya quotient, criticizing or writing mail after mail, what prasad they're cooking, what they're doing. So that Annamaya at least we should cross. Then comes Pranamaya. Then so these five questions we have to cross. So there is nice book by okay, ठीक है. ये कहाँ पर आता है? जैव धर्म में आता है ना? मूलकित, पुलकित, सर्च, संकुचित, मुकुलित. At least we should know these stages, so we'll understand where we are. So otherwise, in ashram life, we will be stuck up with who is glorifying me, why somebody is torturing me, why this is happening, why that's. You should worry about what I'm doing for Lord, than what people are doing for me. उसके आगे कुछ एक्सप्लेनेशन है क्या उसका? So this whole series of consciousness are described by Bhaktivinoda Thakur in this chapter. So if you get time, please read it, so that we can superfine ourselves. So Vaishnavas are the highest pedestal of consciousness. That's why killing a Shudra is not a crime, or like it's not bad compared to killing a Vaishnava. It's because they are very high pedestal of consciousness. So I keep it for your homework. You can read. हाँ नहीं, this is beginning. There are five ना. ऊपर कहाँ थे? संख्या, मुलकित, पहला आच्छादित है, आच्छादित, then संकुचित. So you can read in English because Sanskrit we are not able to understand. So covered consciousness, contracted consciousness, budding consciousness, unfolded consciousness, full blossom consciousness. So we are not conscious only at this moment. Yeah, that I have consciousness. But we are conscious about something else, which we are not. Next verse translation.
He then started towards the north, treading the path accepted by his forefathers and great men, to devote himself completely to the thought of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he lived in that way wherever he went.
Read translation. Purport.
It is understood from this verse that Maharaj Yudhishthir followed in the footsteps of his forefathers and the great devotees of the Lord. We have discussed many times before that the system of Varnashrama Dharma, as it was strictly followed by the inhabitants of the world, especially by those who inhabited the Aryavarta province of the world, emphasizes the importance of leaving all household connections at a certain stage of life. The training and education was so imparted, and thus a respectable person like Maharaj Yudhishthir had to leave all family connection for self-realization and going back to Godhead. No king or respectable gentleman would continue family life till the end, because it was considered suicidal and against the interest of the perfection of human life. In order to be free from all family encumbrances and devote oneself 100% in the devotional service of Lord Krishna, this system is always recommended for everyone because it is the path of authority. The Lord instructs in the Bhagavad Gita 18.62 that one must become a devotee of the Lord at least at the last stage of one's life. A sincere soul of Lord like Maharaj Yudhishthir must abide by this instruction of the Lord for his own interest. The specific words Brahma Param indicate Lord Sri Krishna. This is corroborated in the Bhagavad Gita 10.13 by Arjuna with reference to great authorities like Asita, Devala, Narada, and Vyasa. Thus, Maharaj Yudhishthir, while leaving home for the north, constantly remembered Lord Sri Krishna within himself, following in the footsteps of his forefathers as well as the great devotees of all times.
Next translation.
Next. The younger brothers of Maharaj Yudhishthir observed that the age of Kali had already arrived and throughout the world, and that the citizens of the kingdom were already affected by irreligious practice. Therefore, they decided to follow in the footsteps of their elders.
So I will just give some example about this consciousness, improved consciousness. Like when we were a child, we used to fight for small vehicle, small that toy and all that. But now when we grown up, when we see the toy, we feel there is no interest in it. Kya hai wo toy? Right? But our toy has changed. Earlier in childhood we had a toy, a different toy, but now the toys are different. So like that, devotees when they see us that we are taking some things so serious, which are like toys, and we are not able to understand actually. A small baby cannot understand. The father will tell, I'll give 500 rupees note, give that toy. He will say, no, I don't want. I don't want your 500 rupees also. I want that toy only. So like that, when pure devotees offer us something higher, the love for Krishna, because we are not able to understand the value of it, we stuck up with the lower mode natures, that pressure and pain. We take it seriously as a life and death. So their good instruction, good counseling, nothing comes our help because we are not upgraded in our consciousness. We are stuck up with our conditions. So good advice also feels the advice of an enemy. and we become inimical to the people who give good advice, and we try to keep distance from them, or we drop them from our list of, you know. Okay, next.
All had performed all the principle of religion, and as a result, rightly decided that the lotus feet of Lord Sri Krishna are the supreme goal of all. Therefore, they meditate upon his lotus feet without interruption.
So what they did after renouncing, that is explained here. Yeah.
बोलिए। यहाँ पे हम देखते हैं युधिष्ठिर महाराज ने अपने भाइयों को राजा नहीं बनाया, परीक्षित महाराज को राजा बनाया।
किसको राजा बना?
युधिष्ठिर महाराज ने परीक्षित महाराज को राजा बनाया, अपने भाइयों को राजा नहीं बनाया। व्हेन ही क्विट,
भाई,
भाई भीम है, अर्जुन है, उनको राजा
they
बनाया।
also wanted to quit, no? All of them wanted to quit.
इट मीन्स युधिष्ठिर महाराज चाहते थे कि वो क्विट करें,
Yudhishthira Maharaj?
चाहते थे कि वो लोग भी
नहीं
छोड़
नहीं,
के जाए।
they all had same desire to quit.
नहीं, वो बोले कि वो भाई को देख के उन्होंने फिर क्विट किया।
तो obviously ना, they always followed him.
उनको पता था कि वो फॉलो
हाँ,
करेंगे उसको।
So we should take this as a positive. You should not blame Yudhishthira Maharaj.
नहीं, वो चाहते थे कि ये लोग भी क्विट करें।
So what's the bad in it?
हाँ जी,
What's the bad in it?
मतलब ऐसा लग रहा है कि उनको राजा नहीं बनाया तो उनको
अरे,
इनडायरेक्टली
if somebody is wanting to go back to Godhead and you want to take them to back to Godhead, it's like why you are not making brahmachari grahastha. That kind of mentality it is. If you are offering sannyas to brahmacharis,
मतलब अच्छा सोचा उन्होंने, मैं यही कह रहा हूँ।
so
बट उनको इससे लगता है कि उनकी इच्छा थी कि मेरे भाई लोग भी।
अरे you don't doubt on Yudhishthira.
नहीं नहीं, मैं तो पॉजिटिव कह रहा हूँ।
हाँ, पॉजिटिव कह रहे हो ना, ठीक है।
मैं पॉजिटिव कह रहा हूँ कि
But don't we should not land up in
ऐसा पता चलता है कि
हाँ
वो
judging all these great souls.
चाहते थे कि मेरे भाई भी इस पाथ पे आ
हाँ,
जाए।
so that is good ना. What's wrong in it?
तो मैं तो कह रहा हूँ ऐसा लग रहा है यहाँ से पढ़ के।
लगना है, लगने दो,
लेकिन टेक्निकली एक्सपेक्टेड होता है कि वो नेक्स्ट व्यक्ति को राजा बनाते, भाई को चले जाते।
technical is technical. This is spiritual. This is
लॉजिकल बात है।
नहीं, logic is logic. But that logic is spiritual people's logic is different.
ये अच्छी बात है, वो
हाँ,
चाहते थे
so
कि
that
करने
you
का।
take that logic only.
मैं
You
युधिष्ठिर
take the logic of Yudhishthira Maharaj. हाँ, don't take logic of Kaurav families. ठीक है ना? ठीक है, next.
47. Thus, by pure consciousness due to constant devotional remembrance, they attained the spiritual sky, which is ruled over by the Supreme Narayan, Lord Krishna. This is attained only by those who meditate upon the one Supreme Lord without deviation. This abode of the Lord Sri Krishna, known as Goloka Vrindavana, cannot be attained by persons who are absorbed in the material conception of life. But the Pandavas, being completely washed of all material contamination, attained that abode in these very same bodies.
So these are like instructions for us. You know, this is not limited to only Yudhishthira Maharaj or Pandavas. This consciousness is should be reflected in our personal life also. That how they were thinking, how the devotees think, how devotees end their life. You know, so this should become testimony for us to follow in our coming near death time. You know. Next,
Vidura,
you can read the purport. Time is there. Only 2 verses are left, I think.
according to Srila Jiva Goswami, a person freed from the three modes of material qualities, namely goodness, passion, and ignorance, and situated in transcendence, can reach the highest perfection of life without change of body. Srila Sanatan Goswami in the Hari Bhakti Vilas says that a person, whatever he may be, can attain the perfection of a twice born Brahmana by undergoing the spiritual disciplinary actions under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. Exactly as a chemist can turn gunmetal into gold by chemical manipulation. It is therefore the actual guidance that matters in the process of becoming a Brahmana, even without change of body or in going back to home, going back to Godhead without change of body. Srila Jiva Goswami remarks that the word he used in this connection positively affirms this truth. There is no doubt about this factual position. The Bhagavad Gita 14.26 also affirms the statement of Srila Jiva Goswami when the Lord says that anyone who executes devotional service systematically without deviation can attain the perfection of Brahman by surpassing the contamination of the three modes of material nature. And when the Brahman perfection is still more advanced by the self-same execution of devotional service, there is no doubt at all that one can attain the supreme spiritual planet, Golok Vrindavan, without change of body, as we have already discussed in connection with the Lord's returning to his abode without a change of body.
So our current bodies are like bell metal bodies. They are of no good use. They cannot extend for Krishna. They cannot remain pure for Krishna. But these bodies can be turned into gold by intervention of a chemist. He is the spiritual master. So he trains us to serve Krishna with this material body, and then our consciousness will become purified, and our life can become worthy for Krishna's satisfaction. Okay. Next.
Vidura, while on pilgrimage, left his body at Prabhasa. Because he was absorbed in thought of Lord Krishna, he was received by the denizens of Pitarloka planet, where he returned to his original post. The difference,
Yes, it is.
the difference between the Pandavas and Vidura is that the Pandavas are eternal associates of the Lord, the personality of Godhead, whereas Vidura is one of the administrative demigods in charge of the Pitarloka planet and is known as Yamaraj. Men are afraid of Yamaraj because it is he only who averts punishment to the miscreants of the material world. But those who are devotees of the Lord have nothing to fear from him. To the devotees, he is a cordial friend, but to the non-devotees, he is a fear personified. As we have already discussed, it is understood that Yamaraj were cursed by Manduka Muni to be degraded as a Shudra, and therefore Vidura was an incarnation of Yamaraj. As an eternal servitor of the Lord, he displayed his devotional activities very ardently and lived a life of pious man, so much so that a materialistic man like Dhritarashtra also got salvation by his instruction. So, by his pious activities in the devotional service of the Lord, he was able to always remember the lotus feet of the Lord, and thus he became washed of all contamination of his Shudra born life. At the end, he was again received by the denizens of Pitarloka and posted in his original position. The demigods are also associates of the Lord without personal touch, whereas the direct associates of the Lord are in constant personal touch with him. The Lord and his personal associate incarnate in many universes without cessation. The Lord remembers them all, whereas the associates forget due to their being very minute part and parcels of the Lord. They are apt to forget such incidents due to being infinitesimal. This is corroborated in the Bhagavad Gita 4.5.
What is 4.5? Okay. So some demigods went upper planet and other demigods went to lower planets. Yamraj went to lower planet. Huh? किधर है प्रभास? हाँ, किधर है? उधर किधर तो है, गुजरात के उधर. सर्च, एक मिनट सर्च करता हूँ. I hope these guys are correct, giving correct information. सोमनाथ है क्या? हाँ ठीक है. So we are going to go there. Anyone planning for Prabhas? Next 50.
Draupadi also saw that her husbands, without caring for her, were leaving home. She knew well about Lord Vasudeva, Krishna, the personality of Godhead. Both she and Subhadra became absorbed in thoughts of Krishna and attained the same result as their husbands.
So how much they were detached actually? You know, the attachment towards Krishna was so strong that they could leave the palaces. You know, so it's unimaginable.
Yamaraj is one of the 12 Mahajans. No, for him, he is also direct associate of the Lord.
But he has service now down. So that service is doing. But he's thinking about Krishna. Not that he forgot when he's down. So wherever they are, they will be with Krishna only in thoughts.
Draupadi also saw that her husbands, when,
Hmm.
when flying an airplane, one cannot take care of other planes. Everyone has to take care of his own plane. And if there is any danger, no other plane can help another in that condition. Similarly, at the end of life, one has to go back to God, back home, back to Godhead. Everyone has to take care of himself without help rendered by another. The help is, however, offered on the ground before flying in space. Similarly, the spiritual master, the father, the mother, the relatives, the husband, and others can all render help during one's lifetime. But while crossing the sea, one has to take care of himself and utilize the instructions formerly received. Draupadi had 5 husbands, and no one asked Draupadi to come. Draupadi had to take care of herself without waiting for her great husbands. And because she was already trained, she at once took to concentration upon the lotus feet of Lord Vasudeva, Krishna, the personality of Godhead. The wives also got the same result as their husbands in the same manner. That is to say, without changing their bodies, they reached the destination of Godhead. Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur suggested that both Draupadi and Subhadra, although her name is not mentioned herein, got the same result. None of them had to quit the body.
So Prabhupada is telling that everybody has to fly his own plane. Yes. Sometimes we get initiation. So we feel that it's my spiritual master's duty to take me back to Godhead. You know. And I will be, I'll take rest. He will do everything. But we have to try our best to follow the instructions of spiritual master. Next verse.
Subject of the departure of the sons of Pandu for the ultimate goal of life back to Godhead is fully auspicious and is perfectly pure. Therefore, anyone who hears this narration with devotional faith certainly gains the devotional service of the Lord, the highest perfection of life. Srimad Bhagavatam is a narration about the personality of Godhead and the devotees of the Lord, like the Pandavas. The narration of the personality of Godhead and his devotees is absolute in itself, and thus to hear it with a devotional attitude is to associate with the Lord and constant companions of the Lord.
तो ये जितना अभी समझ आ रहा है कि वो सशरीर विद द सेम बॉडी ऑल ऑफ देम वेंट टू बैक टू गॉड, ऐसा है। वो मर्ज करते गए, मर्ज करते गए, मर्ज करते गए, वो कंसंट्रेट किया लोटस फीट ऑफ द लॉर्ड एंड दे वेंट टू बैक टू गॉड विद द सेम बॉडी। सही समझ आया ना कि वो महाभारत में वो गिरते रहते हैं, पहाड़ पे चढ़ते रहते हैं,
हाँ।
वाली स्टोरी आती है
हम्म
ऐसा करके, सेम बॉडी में चले गए बैक टू गॉड।
हम्म
नाइस।
Yes. So TV serial is our authority. Huh? Our authority. Who is our authority? Bhagavatam is our authority. So don't make authority somebody else other than Bhagavatam. Not even our mind. So let Srimad Bhagavatam, whom Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted as a Pramanam. आराध्यो भगवान व्रजतनस्तद्धावम वृंदावनम रम्या काचित उपासना व्रजवधु वर्गेण वा कल्पित। आगे श्रीमद् भागवतम प्रमाणम अमलम प्रेम मूर्तम महा श्री चैतन्य मतमिदम तत्र धरणपरः। So how to worship Krishna? That is the highest exhibition done by the Brajavadus, the denizens of Gokul, the cowherd girls. So we should follow their footsteps and make Srimad Bhagavatam as a authority for our existence. And this way we can make our lives successful. So thank you for giving me opportunity to go through these nice chapters. And Prabhupada has given amazingly very clear key for success, reaching back to Godhead. How to reach back to Godhead is by this last para is the process of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam one can attain the highest perfection of life, namely going back to Godhead without failure. Okay? श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय, भक्ति बैच डिवोटीज की जय। हरे कृष्ण। अरे घर वालों को क्या थैंक्स करे तुम? आई एम नॉट।
राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण।